Viewer beware, you're in for spoilers if you continue this scare.
Hey everybody, Bumps the Night here, back with another Goosebumps review. Today is October 20th, which means two things. One, Spider-Man 2 just came out, so it's time to get on that. And two, we got our 6th episode in the new Goosebumps series, the episode everyone was waiting for, Night of the Living Dummy. And boy oh boy, was it quite the episode. Where do we begin? So, we finally got to see Slappy, which, I mean, we'd seen promo for Slappy, like they'd hinted at him. We never got to see him fully in action in the trailer or like at Comic-Con, but we finally got to see him in action today. And it's interesting. So, I wasn't expecting the twist they took where they dated it back to like the early 1900s where he was just a ventriloquist dummy that was picked up at a shop. What's weird to me was when Harold's great-great-grandfather was attracted to the dummy, he heard a whisper from the case. It was kind of strange to me how essentially he wasn't alive yet, or he was alive, but I guess he wasn't conscious maybe, or the contract wasn't made, but he was still able to speak to Harold's grandfather, which he had a really weird name, a definitely 1920s name, like Eufin, I can't remember his name. It was a magician. He was a magician. Anyway, he gets Slappy home, and he looks like a legit dummy. He's got like hair, like real hair, and really well crafted, considering other iterations of Slappy have been less than such, be it the 90s show and or the movies. But regardless, this was a really nice turnout for Slappy. He looked really well made. Did not love his voice per se. His voice was it was different. I guess we're all kind of used to that like 90s chuckle he had. We didn't hear any evil laughter per se. It wasn't bad. I'm sure I can hear all of you now typing in the comments about how you hated it and how you thought it was terrible and just, it's not your Slappy, but it wasn't bad. So the plot essentially picks up, the kids go inside the Biddle house, Justin Long, Mr. Brett, who is possessed by Harold, sits down and tells them all about the case because they saw that flashback from Reader Beware. He goes into the past and talks about how his grandfather picked up Slappy in a magic shop. They did keep this canon. They kept the spell that they used, the Karu Marie Adana Lamada Kararu, which is Latin for you and I are now one. So once Harold's grandfather read that, Slappy kind of like came to life. He did the same thing with Harold he did with his grandfather, where they did a show like with ventriloquism, and Slappy kind of like hijacked the reins and took over. After a while, because back in the early 1900s we didn't have a lot of entertainment, Slappy's act actually picked up, and they were selling out big theaters and making good money. Harold's great-great-grandfather's wife left him with the baby. They decided it was me or Slappy, and he picked Slappy. So then we get to a point in the story where him and Slappy claim they were looking for something. It's been probably 30-something years, maybe 40-something years, and a huge coffin is delivered to his apartment in New York. And on the coffin, it either said Kondaru or Koru. It was another word in Latin, but it was human-sized. And then there was a spell Slappy taught Harold's great-grandfather, where it has a couple words in Latin, and he can turn people into puppets, which that was kind of crazy. Maybe that was a reference to Night of the Puppet People. I haven't read that one yet. He starts reading the spell after he gets the coffin and has like this flashback or this vision. He sees this like burning tower or maybe burning building, and he hears like all these people screaming, and he decides right then and there whatever Slappy had planned is not happening. So he picks up Slappy, slams him in his case. We get to a 2-week later cut, and he buys the Biddle house out in Port Lawrence, which is out in Seattle. From there, and that was a lot of the episode's exposition, from there then we find out how the Biddles, like Harold's family, came to inherit the house because they were next of kin. Harold's kind of a weird, plucky kid. We kind of see where he gets the haunted mask. We see where he got his camera from Say Cheese and Die. We see the worms, some go-eat worms. The cuckoo clock was already there. The family just left it. But essentially, we see all these things kind of were tied to him. We get like his backstory where he meets all the kids' parents from the current series. He has a crush on Margot's mom. She invites him to a party. He psychs himself out, gets upset, doesn't go. Then he goes in the basement to pout. His dad's like trying to cheer him up, and he like pushes his dad away. He then takes something and throws it at the wall. The wall is where Slappy was encased by his great-great-grandfather. So as Harold goes to look at the hole he made, he hears whispers again, which I don't understand per se. I guess it's magic, but I don't understand how Slappy's talking to him if he's yet to actually say the curse. Then again, Slappy was never put to sleep last time. So I don't know. It's weird. But Harold finds him, takes him upstairs, reads the card, which in hindsight, Grandpa was smart. He would have torched that card, but that's just me. That's what I would have done. Harold takes him to school. The parents like, oh, don't do that, but he does it anyway. He does a ventriloquist act. Everyone starts to like him. He's making the friends with all the kids' parents. But Slappy has like this evil influence. He's pushing on Harold. The parents decide to step in and like, yo, you're not taking him to school. And then Harold comes home from school and finds him in the fireplace. The parents are attempting to burn him, but because he's magic, he won't burn. So Harold gets him out of the fire, screams at his parents, and then says the spell that his grandfather used and turned both his parents into puppets, essentially killing them. From that point in time, he just kind of goes down this dark path. He does another talent show, and this time, like, he insults all his friends. And they are like, okay, no, that's not cool. Now, at some point in the episode, Nora, Lucas's mom, walks in on Slappy talking to Harold and is like, whoa. And she sees Slappy moving on his own, so she knows he's evil. She keeps trying to tell everyone, and they're like, nah. And it's funny, when she runs out, Slappy quotes, there's something about her. So there's definitely something strange about Nora. The kids decide they're going to take Slappy from Harold because he's kind of being a dick. So they go to his house. We get the full shot of Isaiah's dad taking Slappy, and Slappy kind of talks down to him. Slappy makes the house shake because he has paranormal powers. That cuts back to the beginning where it looked like a ghost was messing with Harold. Kids are inside the house. Harold runs into the basement. They're like, hey, let us help you. They're all beating on the door. They want to help him, apparently. They're trying to be his friend. Harold loses his footing and falls down the stairs. We see him die in that fire. The kids get out. They're kind of discussing, oh shit, what are we going to do? They talk about throwing Slappy in the fire, but then Nora chimes in and says, no, he won't burn. And they're like, okay, but how do you know that and why? And she's just like, I do. That's something they're going to touch on later. There's obviously something about her we don't know yet. It was mentioned to either bury him at her family's cabin, which if you watch the trailer, there is a point in time where it shows her leaving a cabin in the snow, and we got Justin's Long character waving her like this. And then James's mom stated we should bury him in the mine that she owns, because there's an abandoned mine her family owns. So more than likely, as we saw the episode where James clones were digging through the mine and they found the case, they more than likely buried him in the mine. So now we have the premises of Slappy, and then after it's all done, the kids are like, no, our parents really didn't do that much. And Justin's Long character, Mr. Brett, freaks out. He's screaming at them. He's like, no, your parents are dicks. And the kids are like, how do you know this? And then he's like, oh, the twist ending. And he transforms into Harold's ghost, like all crispy burnt like Freddy. Not a bad episode. Lot of exposition. Kind of looking forward to not this episode, but the episode in 2 weeks called Night of Living Dummy 2. I can't wait to see how this wraps up this story. Look forward to another review on that. Overall, I liked it. It was different, like I said, but it wasn't bad different. I'd give this one a 7. It explains a lot, and finally, like, this slow burn is finally coming to a full flame. What did you guys think? Did you think it was worth your time? Did you think they've just created a travesty and they should never have dragged Goosebumps' name through the proverbial mud here? Or do you think there's still more to find out? I think it's not over yet, so before you make any full decisions on the series as a whole, you need to watch all of it. But that's just me. Alright guys, so if you did enjoy, maybe consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.